Why are big tech companies offering to provide egg freezing as a benefit for women? Let's talk about it. According to some more recent news in recent years, big tech companies, or even just really big companies in general, are offering as one of their benefits to their employees, similar to maternity leave or their health benefits, etc., the option for women to freeze their eggs. What does this mean? Is it showing that these companies are more pro-family? According to one article, several of the companies that are offering egg freezing services to their employees for free is companies like Apple, Facebook, Google, Intel, LinkedIn, Microsoft, Spotify, Starbucks, Vanguard, and Walmart. According to this particular article, it says that when an employer offers egg freezing as a part of its benefit package, it sends a clear message to employees that their reproductive choices are valued and supported. By covering some or all of the cost of this procedure, employers are acknowledging that women face barriers when it comes to starting a family, such as career advancement or personal circumstances. While this can provide greater freedom to employees for greater reproductive freedom, it also highlights the fact that our current systems of work and family are often at odds with each other. In addition to offering egg freezing benefits, we need to work towards creating more family-friendly workplaces that support a range of family structures and life choices. At the initial onset, I would say that this very much looks like these big tech companies are putting forth an effort to try to help women gain more autonomy over the ability to have their reproductive rights and to have the ability to have children. And for some women who struggle with fertility, I think that working for one of these companies could be extremely beneficial to them. However, I think we have to look at every sort of workplace benefit as it is as a benefit that a workplace gives for some express reason. So looking at many of these companies, many of which are very woke companies such as Starbucks, and wondering, why does it appear on the surface like they are trying to promote these values that in reality can be very against what they would promote in other values, such as being for baby deletion, and yet also being for reproductive benefits for these women for actually having those children. I'm just going to pause right here to remind you to go ahead and click that subscribe button. I talk about living an intentional life rooted in God's word. And so items like motherhood, wifehood, homemaking, pregnancy, etc. are all items I talk about within that realm. Thank you guys so much. At the crux of the issue, I think, is the fact that for many of these companies who are struggling to retain women in their workforce, and they know that they need to have women in their workforce, because if all the women all across the country or the world were to just all of a sudden quit their jobs tomorrow and actually try to have families on their own during their general reproductive years, that would cause mass chaos for the marketplace. And so I think a lot of these companies are looking for ways that they can still retain their employees and retain their women, especially their women workforce, for longer by saying, hey, listen, you don't have to worry about having kids right now in your best prime years. You can save those prime eggs that you're making right now, and you can save them for later, push it off till later so that way right now you can accomplish your dreams and your career, which is, by default, most beneficial to us as big tech companies who are hired you for that career. At the end of the day, I really think this is another way that these companies are trying to pull and retain women and keep them in the workforce as long as possible so that way they can continue to have their careers and their women who are bringing a very valuable aspect to their workforce or their retention rate. And so if they see that women are starting to use their reproductive rights, quote unquote, and start having children when they are younger and when their body is better suited to do so, it can really inhibit how much work that they're able to do during those most fertile years of their life, during their quote unquote prime. And so by allowing their employees and giving their employees the option to freeze their eggs for the indeterminable future, they are giving women another way that they can push off the forces of nature and fertility and try to extend their time for being fertile. And so they can push off having children till they're more so in their 40s or till they, feel like they have the right spouse or feel like they're in the right mental space, whatever the case might be. I think that they are helping women to do that. But like I said, I don't think it's out of a pure intention of, we just want to, help our employees be able to retain their fertility for longer. I think in reality, it's very much coming from a place of, if we can incentivize these women to keep working for us longer, because we know that likely once they do start having children, they're going to start prioritizing those children over work and over their careers. And so by eliminating that option, or at least pushing that option much further down into the future, those companies know that they are retaining their quote unquote productive workforce for an even longer period of time. I don't think at the end of the day that this is something to necessarily be excited about as women, that it feels like this is another breakthrough, that people are finally trying to understand women and blah, 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 blah. I think in reality, at surface level, it looks like that. It looks like something that's supposed to be beneficial. But I think in reality, it's going to continue to contribute to this feministic culture that we've created that idealizes a 9-to-5 working job, boss babe type of culture where it's hustle, 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 build your career, have that be your only goals in life or your primary goals in life, with everything else taking a back seat. And that includes your future babies. So have them take a back seat, freeze them so that way they're still there and you still have that option open to you, but freeze them so that way they are be able to take a back seat while you focus on yourself and you focus on your career and building it. And I think that a lot of women are going to start being burnt out by the manner with which this works. I think a lot of people will start eventually then blaming these companies in the following years and being like, well, if only they had told me that having children when I was younger was going to contribute better to my health. If only they had told me that, having children at my peak fertility was going to be more beneficial to the way that I parent, that I was going to have more energy in those years. And instead, I spent so many of those years working for a company or building a career that didn't end up being as important. And we're hearing women say this right now before this whole egg freezing thing came about. And I think we need to lean in and listen to those women who have spent their lives building a career and then realized that none of it was worth it in comparison to the joy and the satisfaction that they have from pouring their life into other people, their husband and their children, and allowing them to live in this quote unquote soft girl era, and allowing them to truly be the most feminine and nurturing versions of themselves. I am hesitant to say that this is going to benefit that. I think that this is just going to continue to benefit the current feministic agenda, which is pushing for women to pursue career for as long as possible. I hope you liked my commentary on this. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and please share it with a friend.